everyone. I am Brady Briggs here for another episode of the Combat Logic. Joining me back, New York Hitman, Tyler Avery. How are you, Tyler?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Today we're going to be talking about UFC 267, what went down 2 days ago in Abu Dhabi, the return to Fight Island. Now, I want to start off by saying Tiger Ulanbekov had a good performance and got his second win inside the UFC after 3 canceled bouts in a row. It was a tough fought win, but he did well. Yep. Andre Petroski also did pretty well. He came back and got a third round submission victory when we've seen him wilt and fall under the pressure, like as, I don't know, the middle of the second round comes on, but he got a second round finish in his last fight and now a third round finish in this one. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and one more fight after that was obviously the crazy knockout.
Yeah, dude, I was so sad.
Fell victim to.
I was so sad, man. Like, I love both of these guys. I didn't want either of them to lose. Lerone Murphy is one of the better prospects that are like, that dude is so good. Makwan is really good too. I've been watching him a long time. He's such a great wrestler. He has such great submissions to go with it. His stand-up is okay, but man, he had about as dominant of a first round as you could have. And then he telegraphed that takedown in the second. He didn't even really telegraph it, honestly. But it was great timing. I remember going back and watching the replay. Lerone Murphy goes and feints that knee. And then right after he does that, like a second after he does that, is when Makwan shoots, and then he throws it again and he catches him. Well, it was beautiful. And to think that he didn't get a $50,000 bonus for that is wild to me.
He didn't?
Not on the book.
I just assumed he would have.
Yeah, not on the books. The performance of the nights went to Glover and Khamzat, and the fight of the night was Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen, which that makes sense. But yeah, I'm assuming that Dana gave him a check. I don't see why he wouldn't for a knockout like that. He usually does when people have really good performances and they don't get a performance of the night. But I'm very excited to see him back. That being said, honestly, I kind of feel like Makwan might retire now. That's his third straight loss. It's the first time he's ever been starched like that. And he's a model. Like, he has other ventures in his life. I really hope he does come back, but I don't know, man. I kind of questioned his motivation for the sport a while ago because he's taken a lot of breaks without injuries. But next fight, man, Michelle Olix and Chamiel Gomsatov. Holy fuck, was this a great fight. Michelle came out and did his thing, and Gomsatov looked pretty good too, especially for not having fought in a year and a half. He threw back some good strikes. He was catching Michelle, but Michelle, kind of like Glover later in the night, he just would not be denied. And that uppercut that he caught Chamiel with was so gorgeous. Did you end up catching this one?
Yeah. He's one of those guys that I think are like a tough finish. Like, he's just a tough guy. And I don't know how to pronounce his name. Michal. Yeah. He's a tough finish. So I feel like he's good at fighting through adversity and staying consistent through the fight. He's mean, aggressive. I feel like his cardio is fair. And he got the finish in this. Was it a big uppercut?
Yeah, it was. That was that one.
Yes. It was pretty impressive. He's a very aggressive fighter, and I feel like when I first started seeing him, I slept on him a little bit, and now I'm starting to see like he's a dog and he's in there.
Yeah. No, I've been high on him ever since he came to the UFC because he started out his career. He won his first 2 fights that were both decisions. Then he went 1-2 over his next 3. Actually, he fell to 3-2. He won his next 8 straight with 7 knockouts before he made his UFC debut. Then he beat the piss out of Khalil Rountree, but it was overturned because he failed the drug test. And then he was out like a year. Comes back and gets a couple more knockouts. Then he gets submitted twice. And now he's on a new 2-fight win streak. He just handed Chamiel his first loss. Chamiel was 14-0. Something I could say about Michelle, though, he's not a big light heavyweight, and it really amazes me with how much power he has because he's a middleweight, dude. I've said this the first time I saw him fight. He's a middleweight, but he's so fast and his pace is so good and his power is so good. His shot selection is second to none. It seems like I'm so excited to see his future. He's only 26 years old.
Yeah, the sky's the limit for him.
It really is. I can't wait to see more of him, man. At 205 or 185.
Yeah, agreed.
How about this next one between Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos and Benoit Saint Denis? Oh, what to say about this fight, man. This was a really good one. This is a really good one. This could have got fight of the night if the co-main event didn't happen. Alizu beat the shit out of Saint Denis in that second round so bad, dude. That fight should have been stopped like 30 different times in that second round. And it wasn't. But thank God that the ref was pulled. He was supposed to ref Ankalaev versus Ozdemir. Mark Goddard or Dana White, whoever was in control of that, said, no, you're not reffing again, which I was very happy about because that dude is a piece of shit. Like, he literally wants you to die in front of him.
Right.
But it was a good performance for Alizu. And Saint Denis, man, something can be said about his durability. He is like a Navy SEAL or some sort of really high up ranking military marshal kind of person. So
right. Mentally tough.
Yeah, Paul Felder said he'd been through torture training and shit. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense, but it should have been stopped.
Saint Denis, it's weird. He was the one with the takedowns in this fight, but he ended up being slightly edged in the control time, and he was completely outstruck. So,
yeah, there was over 100 significant strikes landed in that second round from Alizu to Saint Denis. Over 100 significant strikes. That's fucking crazy, dude. Man, I felt so bad for him. How about Albert Duraev and Roman Kopylov? Did you see this one?
Yes, I did. That's I remember the guy had curly hair just like me, so that one stuck in my head.
How'd this one go?
Duraev, or however you pronounce his name. He basically controlled most of the pace of the fight, did what he had to do. He had over 5.5 minutes of control time with only one takedown. So he didn't, when he got him down, he held him there when he needed to, and he controlled him for most of the fight, really. He had a couple submission attempts. He outstruck him by a significant margin. He tripled Roman Kopylov's total output. So that's goes to show he didn't have a lot of chances to get his offense off because he's basically smothered by Albert.
Yeah. It sounds like a good performance. So that's one of the couple that I didn't end up catching. I had to work all Saturday. Luckily, I was able to cover my couple, but I had to go back and watch almost all of them. How about Zuba Tkagov and Ricardo Ramos? Now, this was a really good fight. Zuba looked better than ever, man. I've been high on him since he made his UFC debut, like fucking back in 2013 or 14 or something like that. He had a couple fights, and then he took 4 years off, and he came back.
He took a punch from Conor McGregor.
Yeah, dude, he was in that brawl. Yep, he was part of the brawl. He actually got suspended for a year after that. That's one of the reasons.
Because he ran right at Conor going after him, but he ended up eating a big right hand and got wobbled.
Yeah, it's sad that we never got to see him fight Artem, man. Zuba and Artem Lobov, like that would have been dope. But yeah, I mean, Zuba looked incredible, man. His boxing, he's so fast. Like, if he lost his last fight to Hakeem Dawodu by split decision. If he would have fought Hakeem the way he fought on Saturday, I think he would have won that fight. Like, his wrestling has always been really good. He's got decent kicks, but he's primarily a boxer on the feet. And man, he's so fast. He was so accurate on Saturday. Like, I've never seen him look that good. And it was really good to see because Ricardo Ramos is a really good fighter himself.
Did he go up in weight, Ramos?
I don't think so. Maybe. Yeah, actually, I think he might have been a bantamweight.
He looks a lot more filled out and a lot less depleted than I've seen him in the past.
Yeah, he fought his first 5 fights at bantamweight.
Yeah, so I remember seeing that, and he looked extremely depleted. I think he was cutting too much weight, and now he's going to be a big, strong 45er, I think.
Oh, yeah, me too. And, dude, Ramos is still only 26, man, just because he lost his fight. Like, I still see him doing some pretty big things. He's so well-rounded. Like, his striking is so creative. But, yeah.
Both of their stock went up.
Yeah, he's a national champion in jiu-jitsu. Like, he's a really good fighter. And
he was trading on the feet.
Yeah, dude, he was. He looked good on it, too. Like, he landed some nice kicks,
Yep, he always lands good kicks.
Yeah, he's a good fighter, man. I'm really excited to see both of them fight again, honestly. I always am. How about the preliminary main event between Amanda Ribas and Verna Jandiroba?
Yeah, that was a good fight. I was expecting Amanda Ribas or Ribas or whatever to potentially win this. But Berna also I know is a tough chick. She's like a bully in there. She just puts a high guard, starts while she moves her head back and forth and she charges forward and she tries to be the aggressor and the bully. So you never know how people are going to react to that until they actually get in there. Amanda Ribas, she's a tough chick though, and I feel like she's underrated slightly, and she's maybe one of the better chicks in the division.
She's the only person to beat Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah.
Actually, didn't Mackenzie Dern lose her last fight? She
did, but it was a really good fight.
It was the same person that beat Mackenzie. Her last loss was to Marina Rodriguez. And yeah, it was good to see her come back in, not avenge that, but get back on the winning track.
And I think that when Ribas beat Mackenzie Dern, it was kind of overshadowed because everyone was kind of expecting from Mackenzie Dern. So when she didn't win, it was more of a knock on Mackenzie Dern than it was
good
for Amanda Ribas.
Right.
So now seeing her go forward and beat other tough opponents, we're starting to see, okay, so she's just actually one of the better chicks in the division. I think she's going to be right up there in the top girls.
Oh, she is, man. Marina Rodriguez, let's see. I think she's only lost once. I think it was a split decision to Carlos. Yeah, it was a split decision to Carla Esparza. She's 15-1-2.
Yep.
On a 3-fight win streak. Last 3 wins, Amanda Ribas, Michelle Watterson, and Mackenzie Dern. Those are 3 really good girls to have wins over. She also beat Keisha Flores.
And she would be a really tough girl to beat.
Yeah, she had draws with Cynthia Calvillo and Randa Marcos. Yeah, she's a good
Cynthia Calvillo they were looking at her like she was the one for a while.
I never thought
she started missing weight and she's had some tough goes.
Yeah, I never thought she was going to be the one, but I definitely predicted her to become a top contender.
I feel like she was intimidating. Like she was a very aggressive chick at her weight, but then she started having problems with the weight.
Yeah. How about the main card opener between Magomed Ankalaev and Volkan Ozdemir? This was a pretty good fight. Now, I want to say Volkan opened up looking really good. Now, a lot of people don't know. He's an undefeated kickboxer. Like, he only went 5-0, but he's an undefeated kickboxer. And Magomed Ankalaev is probably the most technical striker in the division. Honestly, people are starting to finally see that. And Volkan opened up hard, man. He looked really good early on. He landed a really nice.
It was needed a win, man.
Yeah, it was like a hook uppercut combo or something. He stunned Magomed. And then about a minute later, Magomed lands a beautiful jab cross combo that knocks Volkan down. And Volkan was timid for the rest of the fight.
And that's expected because
I don't blame him. Right. It is expected.
After how it's gone, he's like, this can't happen to me again,
He went from 15-1 to 17-6. He's now 17-6. He
still has a place in the UFC because he's only fought the best of the best. But really, I feel like this was a win that he might have needed.
Yeah, it was definitely a win he needed. And he almost knocked out Jiří Procházka, man. He's still one of the best in the world. But honestly, Volkan, I'd almost like to see him at heavyweight because he has a lot of power and he's really fast. Like,
it would have to be straight muscle though, because I feel like he already isn't super lean. So if he's not.
I wonder what he walks around at. Like, if he walks
he's
around,
probably decently heavy, like 220.
If you walk 230 at least 230, yeah, I think you should vote. I think you should go to heavyweight. Vince St. Prue's done it without as much success, but in my opinion, Volkan's better than him. He actually beat him.
Being quicker and having cardio while still having light heavyweight or small heavyweight power is enough.
Oh, I know he could knock some heavyweights out if he lands on them for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that from him, honestly. Because he ain't gonna do anything great in the 205-pound division anymore. And Magomed, man, this dude is for real. As I've been saying forever, he's only lost once to Paul Craig. He got submitted at 4:59 of round 3. There's literally 1 second left in a fight. And he mauled him for 14 minutes and 50 seconds of that fight. Literally, the 10-second clap is when Paul Craig wrapped that triangle up. And that's his only loss. He's won every other fight, and very handily. I really am, man, who do you want to see him fight? I want to see him fight like Alexander Ratchik or Anthony Smith, maybe.
Yeah, Ratchik is looking for a fight because he wanted to fight Proashka, but
Hmm.
he wants to fight for the belt. So
Yeah, I could see Prohashka and Glover or Prohashka and Smith, Prohashka and Blachowicz. I could see him getting a title shot, but I'd also wouldn't mind seeing him fight one more time first.
right.
Yeah. Him and Magomed would be sick because he's not a very technical striker, Jiri, but he's as dangerous as literally anyone. He's like a Francis Ngannou almost, except it's not the same, but he knocks everybody out. So
Yeah,
it's
he
kind
hits
of
everyone when he touches them.
yeah, dude, it's fucking remarkable. I'm really looking forward to seeing Magomed fight again. Hopefully it
That
won't be.
belt is pretty much up for grabs right now.
I know,
Not
man.
because Glover isn't good, but because Glover matches up well with some people stylistically and some people not. You
Yeah.
know, the
On
way that he matched up with Jan was a tough fight for Jan.
mm-hmm.
But the way that Jan matched up with Stylebender, in my opinion, is the better fighter if we're talking about skills. But the way that they match up,
Uh-huh.
it just matches up well for Jan. In this one, it was bad for Jan. And there's a lot of good and bad matchups for Glover. So whatever fight he takes next will be important if he's going to defend a title.
Yeah, I mean, I think Glover matches up well with literally everyone in the division. I just think that if he gets caught good, it's over. But
I,
dude, before
he's gonna fight good with an orthodox guy, I think. But someone like Jiri could give him problems. Someone that
oh, for
makes him
sure.
struggle for those first two takedowns, and then he's taking shots from weird angles.
Mm-hmm.
He's not used to that. He's more of an old school technical type of boxer
He
brawler.
is, yeah.
He's not. He does things more by the books. He doesn't. He's not going to expect the weird movement of Jiri.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that might be like a bad matchup for him versus some other guys that might want to try to wrestle him might have a really hard time with that.
Yeah, I think so.
He's big and strong.
How about Khamzat Chimaev and Li Jingyang? This was surprising.
Was it?
I don't know, man.
I
I
knew
didn't
this was gonna go exactly like how this went.
I
I
didn't
knew that
expect Li Jingyang to. I mean, I expected him to get mauled, but man, like that's only the second time he's been finished. I don't know. I expected Lee to
Kazmat
knock
is
him
way
out.
bigger, way stronger.
He is. I expected Lee to
He
knock
has
him out or
he's
Hamzat
more
to knock him out.
technical striking. Li Jingliang he's a good aggressive striker, but
You
he's
think
not as technical.
you think Hamzat's more technical on the feet than Lee? He might be.
Way he holds his
I don't think we've
hands, the
seen
type of
enough.
punches he throws are more straight down the pipe. He
Yeah.
picks his shots better. He
Oh, and Lee is
counters
the
better.
loopy kind of hook type overhand
Right,
type of striker,
Li
right?
Jingliang, he's a good striker and he's dangerous, but he's not like Mr. Technique, like he's trying to
Mhm.
hurt you, you know. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, with Hamzat's knockout over GM3, Gerald Mearshart, and that
a
knockout he had
straight
in
right
Brave,
hand,
dude. Did you see that uppercut? Oh my God, he just
delicious.
charged someone with a beautiful uppercut. It was like his fight right before he came to the UFC, or maybe two fights before he came over. But dude, there's something to be said about Khamzat, man. He went 3-0 in what 30 something days in the UFC, and then he was out like a year or a year and a week maybe. And he comes back after a year away, has just as easy of a fight with a harder opponent than he's been scheduled with before. And dude, he's so tall and he's so long, but he's so strong too. So there's no way he can't get in on your legs. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's so long and he's strong enough to just, take him
And
down
his
every single
wrestling
time.
is technically amazing.
Dude, it is. It's technically perfect. Like he wrestled in a 200-pound weight class just to fucking challenge himself, and he still won title or championships, like doing that in his weight class, above his weight class. It's remarkable everything he's done. I don't
If
remember.
he if he beats another guy with his striking the way that he beat Gerald Mearshart, I'm gonna say that he may be one of the most well-rounded guys in the division, if not the most well-rounded
Mhm.
guy in the division now, because his grappling is second to none. And if he starts knocking people out like he's shown that he can, if he just goes out there, makes people hesitant like they have been, and he just catches people on just brutal counters like he
Yeah.
has been, but not even wild counters, just right down the pipe, brutal power. If
Hmm.
he keeps doing that, I'm gonna have to admit to myself at least that no one else is more well-rounded than him.
Yeah, dude,
Everyone else is more of a specialist than him. I used to think he was just a wrestler, but
I know,
he
right?
doesn't get hit. He's defensive. He knows how to just go in there and win the fight without giving you a chance.
Yeah,
He's shown time and time again.
I predict him to become a champ, if not a champ, to be honest with you. And the only thing that I would say that I wouldn't say it worries me, but something that I have to consider is his cardio. If he can't finish somebody that early, what happens? Because he expended a lot of fucking energy.
I'd have to do some research, but I bet you I bet you if he goes in with Usman right now, they have a war.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, if he's that good, I'm assuming, and he's that good of an athlete, yeah, I'm assuming
he looks in phenomenal shape, and his build supports being strong, but also not carrying too much muscle.
That's a good
he's
point.
Not bulky,
Yeah,
but he's absolutely as strong as they come at welterweight.
So his cardio probably is good, dude. You know what? I would want to see him fight Usman or Colby Covington or something. Someone with
or
a
even him versus Israel
style.
right now. Like I know that Israel
that would be
is probably way better of a striker overall.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But he's gonna be scared of that takedown.
Dude, he should be. Fuck, dude, he'd be the best wrestler Izzy has fought. The best wrestler Izzy has fought is
Yan. They're probably Yan isn't as good of a wrestler as Khamzat, but he's so much bigger that it makes a difference in the wrestling.
Right. I think
Yan was a harder wrestler to wrestle, but Khamzat's the better wrestler at his weight.
I think he's a better wrestler, and honestly, I'd be willing to bet that if he's not as strong, pretty fucking close.
Yeah, Yan just has pure actual size and weight that matters.
Right. And he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Pound for pound, he's better. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. How about? Is there anything else you want to say about Khamzat Chimaev? Who would you want to see him fight next? Neil Magny's calling him out, but honestly, and Neil just beat Li Jingliang like a year ago or two as well. But I mean, I want to see him fight a top 5, top 6 guy now. At first, I said I don't want to see I hated the Leon Edwards matchup, but dude, at this point, I want to see him fight one of the top guys. He's been built a little.
He can fight anyone, and I'll be fine with it.
Right, that's kind of where I'm at too. Yeah, even if it isn't a ranked guy,
anyone ranked higher than him.
Yep. Well, Li Jingliang was number 11, which kind of.
But that was a gracious ranking, in my opinion.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it kind of surprises me that he was number 11. He's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter, but yeah, I think he might be like number 15 or something like that. How about Alexander Volkov and Marcin Tabura? This was a pretty good performance for Volkov. Tabura didn't look bad, but Volkov just, showed his world championship abilities.
Yeah, Tabura did better than I thought he was going to do. I thought his moment was going to be getting Volkov against the cage and having flurries early, maybe catch him with some hooks, boxing inside. But Volkov did pretty good at keeping him at a kickboxing range and playing his game plan. And Marcin Tabura did good playing Alexander Volkov's game kind of at first, but Volkov, with his experience, and he's been doing kickboxing for so long, if you're going to be kickboxing him, he's going to be consistent or he's going to get better as the fight goes.
He's so long too.
And his cardio isn't bad for a big man.
Oh no, it's not. His cardio is actually really good. Remember when he was getting wrestle fucked by Curtis Blades and then he beat his ass in that 4th round?
Yeah, he doesn't stop, and he's put on more muscle since his start in the UFC, but I think still has carried good cardio throughout. I've never even when he gets tired, he goes into autopilot mode, and it's still fast and hard enough to compete.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to put it. Now, Volkov, he's been back and forth as of late. He's not quite as, I don't know.
He's a specialist.
Maybe he is as good as he's ever been. I don't know. He doesn't look bad, man. He's just fighting really, really good fighters now. But let's see. Marcin Tabura, he made his UFC debut with a 13-1 record. He lost to Tim Johnson, who just fought for the Bellator belt, or he just fought Fedor rather, and for the Bellator belt. Then he won 3 straight. Then he went 1-4 over his next 5 before winning his next 5 straight. So he went 1-4 and then 5-0. Volkov just ended that win streak. So that's a good win because Tabura was on a hot streak and he was looking really good in all of his previous fights.
Yeah, Tabura is fairly well rounded. He touches a little bit everywhere in his game.
He's good at
and that's why it kind of made this a good matchup, because Alexander Volkov, I always looked at as like Mr. Heavyweight kickboxer guy.
Me too.
So like he'll match up really well with people or really bad depending.
Hmm.
Marcin Tabura, he's well rounded, so it's not quite that way.
Yeah, he is. Marcin, he's got good striking. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's good at leaning on you, making you tired, using his weight.
He didn't lose too much stock in this.
I don't think so. No, Volkov's elite, man.
As far as the heavyweight division goes, that doesn't change much things in my mind.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, he wasn't even ranked as high as Volkov. I think they both probably stay about where they were.
But we did see some pluses from in Volkov's corner. You see that he's still where he was, if not better.
Right. Right. How about Islam Makhachev and Drew Dober? This one also kind of surprised me. It's just like Michael Chandler's fight with Dan Hook. No, not Drew Dober. Islam Makhachev and Dan Hooker.
That'd be a pretty cool fight though.
Yeah, that was like fucking earlier this year. Dan Hooker. That was kind of like Michael Chandler's fight with Dan Hooker because Islam just ran right fucking through him. Like he's only the second person that's ever done that. Like, what do you think of this, man? Islam might actually be ready for a title shot. I would like to see him fight once more, but he might be ready, dude. I want to say this before you get it up. His last fight was in September or October of 2019, and he was coming off a couple decisions. They were really lackluster fights. You know, he won the rounds, but he didn't do anything even remotely special in them. And then he comes back this year after a year and a half away and goes 3-0 with 3 submissions. He might be the breakout fighter of the year.
Yeah, man. Him or
most
of the year. Yes. It's hard for me to think of it in just a year, but in the moment,
maybe the most improved fighter.
And I mean, they showcased 2 of them, Islam and Khamzat Chimaev, are kind of the guys that everyone wants to see how it pans out with them right now. Yeah. And I think that he matched up really well with Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker kind of wants someone to stay kind of stationary in a kicking range and trade a little bit with him. Islam isn't going to do that. The whole fight, he's going to be in your nose, driving forward. Like, instantly, he countered a kick. He caught the kick and threw an overhand right and got the takedown instantly.
Into the double.
That was going to happen probably 10 times out of 10, just the way they match up. It just is a tough match. I mean, obviously, Dan Hooker could have caught the knee going in, but...
Yeah, just like Rowan Murphy.
Anything can happen, but if I have to bet on this fight, every time the way their styles match up, I gotta go with Islam.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised Hooker even threw a kick, you know, like for the first strike that he threw. I was thinking, all right, maybe he tried to time a knee on the takedown, but it's not. He threw a kick and Islam caught it. I saw in the replay. It's like, man, why did you do that? Like, but I mean, I don't know. I can't say I would have done any better. I really can't.
I feel like
Islam is for real.
I feel like the people who give Islam Makhachev the biggest problems are going to be people like Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje, people that can combat the wrestling enough to be able to get off their strikes, and they are actually dangerous with the strikes as well from the range that Islam wants to be in. People that have good hooks, tight inside boxing, and have dangerous short range power are dangerous against wrestlers because wrestlers get in close.
Yeah.
So Islam's going to want to be in pressure zone the whole time.
Right. So like Gaethje or Chandler or Poirier.
Gaethje or Chandler are going to be throwing tight hooks inside, powerful, dangerous. So those are going to be the hardest fights, in my opinion, for Islam. Someone that's going to want him to kickbox with them and is tall and long is going to be tough to stop the takedowns from him.
I think
short and stocky works as a better style, I think, for him versus him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Charles Oliveira might have something to say about it too. Like if if Islam gets him done, which I don't feel like Charles would try and stuff it. I feel like he would invite that all day. Man, I want to see Khabib.
I want to go like Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva because Islam might just like that.
Maybe
it's not going to go more. It's not going to, like, if Islam gets him down and holds him down, Charles Oliveira isn't going to get less dangerous as the fight goes on.
No, he won't.
He'll get his face beaten and he'll still be able to pop a crazy submission on you and you're screwed.
Done his whole career.
If Islam takes him down, it's going to have to be really methodical and thinking about everything he does. Or maybe he strikes with him, but then again, Oliveira's striking is grown leaps and bounds, and he's dangerous.
Islam's striking has gotten a lot better too, honestly. But yeah,
I would give him the advantage.
I'm certain Oliveira is better on. Well, I'm nearly certain Oliveira is better on the feet.
Yeah, I agree. And if I don't know if he's going to try to stop the takedowns. There's a lot of things we won't know until we see what goes on in there. Because Oliveira is confident with his hands now, so he might just try to just be like, I'm not going to get scored on in case it goes to decision. I don't want to, get taken down at all. He might try to stay on the feet, but if he goes in for like a rush takedown, like a diving takedown where he puts his head on the outside, obviously I see him wrapping up that guillotine.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, Charles Oliveira's striking has always been good too, honestly. He's just within the last couple of years started believing in it. So much so that he almost knocked out 39-1 pro kickboxer David Tamer on the feet. He ended up jumping on an anaconda choke after he dropped him instead of, finishing it with a knockout. But he got knockouts in his next 2 fights. He just won the belt with a knockout. Like, man, his evolution has really been a pleasure to watch. And so is Islam's, man. Islam is right up there, man. I really can't wait to see him fight like any of the top 5.
I think those 3 guys that we discussed, Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje, and Charles Oliveira are going to be the styles that are going to make it a fight with Islam. Because Islam isn't going to get a wrestler submission on Oliveira, I don't think.
No.
He's not going to get a head and arm choke, a simple rear naked. He's not going to get the submissions wrestlers like to get. Like I think how he beat Dan Hooker, he literally just manipulated him. And then he took him down, grabbed his arm, forced it in the position he wanted, and just did it. He's not going to be able to do it the same way. Oliveira's too slippery.
No, not Oliveira. I think he could maybe submit Poirier and Gaethje. Khabib did.
He could submit Michael Chandler or Gaethje.
Chandler would be tough.
A struggle way more than it would have been for Dan Hooker.
Yeah, Chandler would be tough, man. He could definitely do it, but his submission defense is so good. Like when Charles Oliveira had his back, to know that Chandler didn't get submitted right there, it's pretty remarkable to me because I don't think Charles Oliveira has ever had someone's back, like full back mount, and not submitted him before.
He's
I've watched all of his fights, and he's a lanky dude. He's actually strong as shit. Like he doesn't look like it, but he's got one of the best body lock takedowns in the sport too.
Who did we see? Was it Li Jingliang? He escaped from really deep rear naked chokes in that fight.
Oh yeah, he did. Khamzat had to readjust it like 4 different times.
Yeah, they did deep. And every time I was like, it's over.
Yeah, and he was still breathing. It's like fully locked in, and he's still breathing for like 30 seconds. Like, what the hell?
Then he ended up going out, right?
Yeah, he ended up going out. That's the second time he been submitted. Both times he went out. He has never quit before in his whole career.
Yeah.
How about the co-main event? This was a real treat for us between Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen. No, I want to start by saying I think Petr Yan might be the best mid-fight or best fighter at making mid-fight adjustments in the sport. Like, because I've seen him lose the first round a number of times. I mean, the commentators were saying it too, but Jimmy Rivera, fucking Aljamain Sterling, Jose Aldo, he lost 2 of the first 3 rounds of that fight. If that was a 3-round fight, Aldo would have won. Dude, there's so many times where he just makes reads and gives a round away and then starts piecing them the fuck up as the fight goes on. And like, dude, he's so good. He's an amateur boxing champion. He's got great kicks and flying knees to go with it. You're not going to out wrestle him. His scrambles are better than anybody's. Like, man, he really showed up on Saturday. And so did Corey. I think that was the best Corey Sandhagen we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, that was a really, really great fight. It reminded me of like Jose Aldo versus Chad Mendez too. Like, it's just a technical war all throughout.
I agree. Petr Yan, I feel like knows his pace better than most fighters. He goes out there and knows exactly how much he has to give, and he knows how to distribute it properly throughout the fight. He's loose, and he doesn't get pressured. He doesn't expend energy unless it's on his terms. People don't necessarily try to. I mean, Sandhagen did, and he actually got one. I'm pretty sure. Yes, he did. Sandhagen got one takedown on him, but people don't typically go for takedowns on him because it's not worth really the effort.
It's not worth it.
And
it's good to give him a different look.
He uses energy on his terms, and that's how you go to see in the 4th round. He's like, okay, I hit you a bunch of times and it kind of hurts you. Now I'm going to throw those same punches as hard as I can because there's nothing left to lift.
He was throwing hard, man.
And that's when you start to see him surpass. Sandhagen was keeping up when he was throwing a lighter pace, but as soon as he knew what worked versus Sandhagen, he almost went from hard sparring to fighting. But I don't want to disrespect it because he was absolutely hitting Corey Sandhagen early. It was a step above hard sparring, but it was still reserving. He was reserving himself. He was making reads. And then once he knew what was working for him, he started absolutely whipping him. And everything was starting to hurt him. And then we'd see Corey Sandhagen fade because we'd see the slight difference in those two fighters. They are very closely matched, but Petr Yan, you could see just slowly edging him as the fight went on.
So he's now the interim UFC bantamweight champion. Do you think it's safe to say he's the best bantamweight in the world?
Yeah, at the moment for sure. He's one of those guys that there isn't a bad matchup for him stylistically.
No,
I always talk about style matchups and how it affects fighters and stuff because that's what's so intriguing to me.
Yeah.
But there isn't a bad matchup for him. Maybe a really great jiu-jitsu guy comes through that's as good as Charles Oliveira. Then I'll say maybe that's a matchup that's tough for him. Right now, he's one of the strongest wrestlers and one of the strongest boxers, but he also throws good kicks.
Well, so there's the bantamweight title picture and the whole of contender picture is kind of a mess right now because first off, Aljamain pulled out of this fight. So that means an interim title was created. Now they have to fight. Well, as I said, Petr Yan might be the best fighter in the world at making mid-fight adjustments. The last champion to vacate his belt, Henry Cejudo, is also like that. He can just get smashed and then come back and pull it out and just make it a dogfight, just like Petr Yan can. I'd really love to see those two fight. But now we need to see Aljamain versus Petr too, and then the winner gets TJ. Like, it's just, dude, Henry would have to wait at least a year if he wanted to come back and do that. It kind of sucks. I wish he never walked away to begin with. But yeah, I would like all those fights, man. They're all great. I really want to see TJ fight Petr Yan too. So hopefully, you know, Yan and Sterling can happen by the end of the year, maybe early next year within the first month. And then hopefully by springtime, TJ can get a shot because he is not getting any younger.
Yeah, him versus Petr Yan versus Cejudo is an interesting fight, but it's one of those ones where you really don't want to make a decision on how good you think Cejudo is going to perform because you don't know because it's been so long. I feel like they match up interesting because Petr Yan has better boxing. I think Cejudo has better kicks. I feel like Cejudo has a better wrestling offense and probably wrestling defense too, but their wrestling defenses are comparable.
He's definitely a better wrestler.
He's absolutely a better wrestler, but when we're comparing aspects of wrestling, Petr Yan has comparable MMA wrestling defense.
Yeah.
Cejudo has the best wrestling offense of the division, maybe ever other than Demetrius.
Yeah.
And I don't think Demetrius was the better wrestler. He just fought for so long and had so much experience and was so good with the timing that he landed a lot of takedowns. I think that Cejudo even might be, as of they sit now, the better MMA wrestler without all the other aspects.
Yeah, Demetrius has been on wrestle a couple times.
Right.
But yeah, man, I mean, I'd love to see Henry come back. I mean, if he comes back, I feel like he's probably going to fight Volkanovski, though, which is really stupid. But I mean, fuck it, you know, whatever.
I feel like Petr Yan is a better fight for him to come back to see how he performs.
Oh yeah, me too. Peter's not a big bantamweight, and Volkanovski's a big featherweight.
Yeah. Did you see Volk sparring with who is he? He was sparring with Petr Yan, wasn't he?
Really? No, I didn't. I would love to see that.
There's a video on
give me a comparison
internet of them sparring, and Volk looked really good. But as we know, Petr Yan likes to sit there, be defensive, and make reads. He's not always trying to like beat people all the time.
I was gonna say that.
Even in his fights, he's not always trying to win the point battle all the time. He's not worried about how he looks all the time. He has a plan and he's following through with it. He's not worried about how he's looking. So
Yeah.
I don't want to say that Volk is better, but Volk looked more dynamic in there.
Yeah.
And also Volk is a bad matchup for him. He's
I
a
think
good
so.
striker and a really good wrestler and
Strong
really
as
strong.
shit. He used to weigh over
So
200 pounds of solid muscle. Like, yeah, I'd see Henry having a very hard time beating him, but I definitely want to see that footage. You give me a perspective of their sizes because Henry's only a little bit bigger than Yan. He's a little shorter, but he's, a lot
they look
stockier.
he looks fairly more muscular in the video.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Like Volk cuts more weight probably.
Oh, dude, yeah. I wonder how much weight he cuts, man, because like I said, he used to, what was it, 212 or 216, something like that when he played
I feel
rugby.
like he lives a very healthy lifestyle, though. I don't feel like he
He
balloons
must.
up like Patty Pimblett does.
Right? Dude, he gets fat out of camp. Holy
Really
shit.
big.
How about our main event, man? We touched on it a little bit like 20 minutes ago. But Glover Teixeira just ran right through Jan Blachowicz. And I think,
He dominated.
yeah, the story of this really is just that Glover wouldn't be denied rather than Blachowicz didn't look good. I mean, he didn't, but Glover didn't let him. He really didn't. No. Glover finally was able to come to the UFC when he was 17-2 after like a decade-long career. He had to move. He finally came to the States. Then he had to move back to Brazil because his visa was fucked up. And then, dude, he was out of the UFC for so long. And then he finally came over when he was like 33 or something. Like he was old. And he's done nothing but get better since then. He won his first 5 fights in the UFC with 4 finishes. Then he lost to John Jones and Phil Davis. He won his next 3 and then went like 2-3 in his next 5. Then going into this title fight, he was on a 5-fight win streak with 4 finishes, just like his first title shot. Except this time, he pulled off a perfect Cinderella Man story against the original Cinderella Man.
Yeah. Honestly, if you look at Glover Teixeira's losses, his losses used to be all versus people that he just couldn't get to the floor. Now he's way more physically strong. Like he's older, yes, but if you look at him when he first came into the UFC and now, he's physically stronger. He looks way bigger.
Yeah, you get stronger as you get older.
He just looks bigger. Like he looks like he must have to cut more weight unless he's just way stronger. He looks way stronger than he used to. So now most of these guys, he's getting these takedowns.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's the thing too, is his wrestling is so good. Like it's not like Phil Davis or Corey Anderson, obviously, as we've seen in their fights together. But his wrestling has always been really good, and he's always been really strong, and he's always
His
done
hands have improved.
Yeah, he's done such a wicked job of mixing his wrestling into his grappling, and like just combine it kind of like a Michael Chiesa does or something. He's so good at that. And then his boxing has always been really, really good too. He's always hit hard as fuck. He's got decent kicks. I mean, he might be the most well-rounded light heavyweight in the world. And
he's changed his approach to he's changed his approach to how he fought, and it's worked for him and how the division sits right now. I will say that there's a lot more dynamic fighters than him, but as it comes to fundamentals and basic technique, he has all the fundamentals. Like he doesn't take risks. He goes for technical shots. He doesn't just brawl. He has good ground. So he's a tough matchup for a lot of people. I feel like some of the young, dynamic, unorthodox fighters are the fighters that are going to give him problems.
Yeah, I could see that. I think, dude, as long as he doesn't get tagged and like knocked out, because like I said, 4 of those 5 wins before he got this last title shot, he almost got knocked out in. As long as he can not get knocked out, honestly, I see him beating everybody.
When people face him in the way that he wants, which is you come at him and you try to face him with technical boxing, you'll lose to him. You have to be creative, unique, like John Jones. You have to attack the legs, but also at the same time you have to have wrestling defense. So this is a package of, like, I'm imagining potentially could be like a Jiri. If Jiri can stop the takedown from Glover, that's the type of guy that gives Glover a hard fight, because he doesn't fight him with a textbook technical style where Glover is used to seeing, and he's that's how he fights. So he's ready for that fight. If you're not playing the game he wants, it might be harder for him to implement that style.
I'd like to think that Yuri, if they were on the feet, would knock him out because he's so much longer and he hits so hard. But then again, Yuri leaves his chin open like no one else in the world.
He could
in the
catch him.
sport. Yeah, Glover can crack, man.
He's hard to finish though, Yuri. He does get hurt.
Yeah, he
He's hard
is.
to finish. He's like Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, yeah, Vulcan almost knocked him out and he couldn't. Like, he's got a really good chin, but yeah, he uses it like Chuck Liddell did, and it makes me nervous. How long do you think Glover Teixeira holds the belt for?
All depends on who he faces. If he faces someone that tries to do boxing and wrestling with him, they'll probably lose. If he faces someone super creative,
let's assume he faces Yuri.
So that one I feel like Yuri takes it unless Glover gets it to the ground.
Yeah,
I feel like Glover can hurt him, but I don't know. I don't see someone stopping Yuri with strikes from the feet.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just don't see it. Like, I see him getting caught, and he's kind of got like a weird stance, so sometimes he gets wobbly. Really does. But I don't think he's necessarily super close to getting finished in those moments. Like, he's just realizing like, whoops, you know what I mean? And he just gets back into it, and then he's better than he was before he got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So man, I don't know. We'll see. It's a weird matchup between someone so unorthodox versus someone super orthodox.
Yeah, right.
Super orthodox boxer brawler.
Couldn't be more polar of opposites.
Right.
Yeah.
Yan has a similar style to Glover, but Glover does it better, and he's been doing it for longer.
Yeah, I wonder how long Glover is going to hold the belt until he signs his next fight. This is his first 6-fight win streak inside the octagon. Honestly, I'd like to see him keep going. Like, it's a really beautiful thing. It has been. Yeah,
I'd like to see him defend it. I don't know how it works with the UFC of it, like if you get options or anything, but it'd be nice if he could get picked a stylistic matchup that's good for drawing in fans, but also good for his versus his style.
Yeah, if there's more than one rightful contender, I'm sure they probably do that. But at light heavyweight, I can't think of any others other than Jerry, really. Magomed Ankalaev, but he needs another one. He needs one more win. You know, he needs to fight a top 5 guy.
That would be a dangerous fight for Glover, because someone that really likes to get the finish and really wants to clip you.
Yeah.
And hard to take down. But I think Glover's physically a little bit bigger and stronger. So if he did get on top, he could. If he gets on top of anyone in the division, he's big and heavy, and he has the top pressure. They always talk about his top pressure. He has more top pressure than almost anybody.
Yeah, it's really immense.
Yeah, exactly. So if he gets on top of him, he could wear on him. But it's facing a striker that's so devastating like that at this age seems like a red flag.
Yeah, right. All right, I think that about wraps up our recap for UFC 267. In a little bit, you want to do the 268 preview with me? I feel like doing them on Friday it gives people one day to watch it. So
right. They've seen all the countdowns already.
Yeah. So we'll end it here, and I'll shoot you a message here soon. Thank you, Tyler, for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a good one. Peace out, bud.
Peace out.